Our final reader tonight is Benji Carr. As a child growing up in the South with cerebral palsy, Benji developed an eye for the bizarre and quirky, which provided all of the stories he told his friends and family with a bit of flavor. He's worked as a journalist, storyteller, and playwright, and his work has been featured in The Guardian, Arts ATL, and Pembroke Magazine, whether the stories be personal tales of struggle and survival about, or fiction about cannibal lunch ladies, puppet romances, drag queen funerals, and the perverted killer circus clowns. So, Benji, what can you tell us about Cannibal Lunch Ladies?
That was a play that I wrote for just a class of 6 people, and it was selected for Samuel French Off-Broadway Play Festival in Manhattan. So all of a sudden, this story that I wrote about lunch ladies in a school getting revenge on their principal by eating him and feeding him to the children was suddenly on stage in front of 50 to 100 people in the same theater that Avenue Q premiered in. That was crazy.
That's awesome. So that's the so on stage your piece has been presented there, as well as Alliance Theater and Center for Puppetry Arts. So how does the Center of Puppetry work blend with the puppet romances mentioned previously?
I used to be a member of classes at Dad's Garage, and Amber Nash, who's now on the show Archer, is an improviser out of that. And I told her, because she was my improv teacher, I told her that I would write a puppet show for her that was essentially just like an episode of Sex and the City, where she goes shopping, delivers someone else's baby in the elevator because it gets stuck. And so basically what I wrote was called the 4th season premiere of the Amber Nash Show. And so there were all of these cliffhangers that she had to resolve, and the will they or won't they relationship that has supposedly been building for years. And everyone would come up to me and they'd be like, did I miss a night? Was there something before this? And I'm like, no, we made it all up. But the only thing that remains of it is the incredibly catchy sitcom theme song over on YouTube now.
That's awesome. We will have to dig that up and share links for that later. So do you want to set up your story for us before you take us in?
The story that I wrote that I'm performing tonight is called Nougat. It was originally on the 500, which is a flash fiction website, the-5-100, all spelled out, .com. My friend Winston takes all stories submitted from 400 to 600 words and publishes everything. And I tried to test the limits of that by writing things that were considered daring. And this is a story called Nougat. The handsome blonde chap, that one from the dance floor who now had me pinned in the booth, stopped his mouth's exploration of my chest, my neck. He pulled his mouth toward the direction of my ear, the rest of him grinding warm and slow against my now totally unbuttoned shirt. And he whispered something to me, excited. At first I didn't care what the content of his words were, just that he kept saying them. His breath tickled my face, but then he said that one word. Wait, what? I asked him. He had returned his mouth to my neck, his response a muffled grunt. The waves of his baritone, the wet of my skin, I felt like an instrument just vibrating. but I needed him to repeat his actual words. Reluctantly, I pushed his shoulders up. He looked at me and grinned eagerly, and I was half tempted to let him just continue to work his way over on me. I said, "It's not like vampirism, this thing that I do." "Oh, okay," I replied to him. No, it didn't feel like vampire, it felt like lust. His eyes penetrated me, and I wanted the rest of him to do the same. "It is lust," he confirmed. "You're so beautifully congested, it's amazing." He licked my cheek and then returned his lips' attention to my neck. And I wanted to question what he had just said, but he was so damn beautiful. I usually ruin those moments by talking, being in my head. Just go with it, I warned myself. I felt like I should return a favor, kiss him back, but the angles were all wrong. So I put my fingers on his back, running my nails slowly across his shoulder blades. I tried to scooch my way down, bury my face into his chest, but he stopped me. "Let me do this," he said, lifting his head. "Just enjoy it. Let it wash over you. I can make you feel so much better." I protested. I told him that I could make him feel just as good. He gripped both my hands and glared at me. "No, don't fight this," he said to me. "It'll hurt if you don't relax." I was scared, vulnerable. He had me pinned. I thought of screaming, fighting him. The music in the bar was so loud. No one could really hear what was happening to me. Then he opened his mouth wide, wider than I believe a human should or could, and he placed it over my left nostril. I was too shocked to scream. He ran the tip of his tongue along the edge of it and began to suck my sinuses clean, hungrily gulping at my mucus. It was so intense, I could feel his desire in the back of my throat. After a moment, he lifted himself up, yellow snot just visible on the edge of his mouth. I was horrified and confused, yet I was able to breathe. He ran a finger along his lips, and then he licked the excess phlegm off of his index with delight. "God, I love allergy season," he cooed to himself, still straddling me and erect. "When the pollen count raises in this city, a young man's thoughts run wild with the spring." I didn't know exactly what to say to him. The rest of the room seemed to die away from the two of us, him greedily eyeing me, just hungry for more snot. And he kept me at bay, opened that mouth again, and devoured the content of my other obstructed sinus. Thank you.
Happy Halloween. So that was certainly an experience. That was not what not what I was expecting. And so with on that note, that brings our event to a close.